Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Today, the much talked about and the quite controversial anti-conversion bill was tabled in the State Assembly in Karnataka. Quite naturally, it led to a lot of sloganeering ruckus against this bill that has been called divisive, communal, polarizing and outright political. In fact, while all non-BJP parties opposed the bill, the Congress's D.K. Shivakumar tore it to pieces inside the House to protest what he called an attempt to harass minorities. Now, while the debate on the issue is slated for tomorrow, the politics has already sharpened. Largely, this bill has been called out for being even more stringent than the laws that were legislated by the governments of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh.
He has to ask, he has to decide on the majority. Lot of things were there to object. Tell about our comments, and the entire bill is against the constitution.
Now, in principle, we are opposing the bill. We have already expressed in our discussions. The CLP we have discussed to oppose this bill tooth and nail because it will bring in a lot of disturbance in the society.
No, again, this is all politically they are trying to just put it across and polarize the whole community and society at large. If they bring anything like this, it is going to be on everybody's freedom, which is not acceptable.
Now, there are several clauses that have been called out as problematic. They have been called into question, and those are related to providing 6 days notice for conversion, putting the burden of proof on those who have caused the conversion, and declaring marriages conducted for the purpose of conversion as null and void. But the Chief Minister, though, has said that this is an issue not just of conversion, but one of creeping, silent religious invasion.
ಪ್ರಾಂತ ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಭೌಗೋಳಿಕ ದಾಳಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಭೌಗೋಳಿಕ ದಾಳಿ ಆದಾಗ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹಿಂದೂ ಧರ್ಮ ಸಂಕಟಕ್ಕೀಡಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದು ಹಲವಾರು ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕನ್ವರ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಏನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅದು ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮತಾಂತರ ಕಾಲಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇತರ ಧರ್ಮೀಯರು ಕೂಡ ಮೂಲವನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕಿದಾಗ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹಿಂದೂ ಧರ್ಮದವರು. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಭೌಗೋಳಿಕ ದಾಳಿಯ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಧಾರ್ಮಿಕ ದಾಳಿ ಅದು ಅವತ್ತು ನೇರ ಆದರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಅದು ಗುಪ್ತವಾಗಿ ನಡೆಯುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಮೊದಲು ಇದು ಒತ್ತಡ ಆಮಿಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ರೋಗ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿಡುವ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆಗಲಿ, ಸಮಾಜ ಆಗಲಿ, ದೇಶ ಆಗಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನು.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
In the Karnataka Assembly, you hear the debate tomorrow, but before that, the debate today on the Newshour Agenda. Joining us for a straight face-off, Tejasvi Surya, Member of Parliament of the BJP, Rizwan Arshad, MLA of the Congress in Karnataka. Tejasvi Surya, I'm going to start with you. There are already existing laws when it comes to fraud, when it comes to coercion. There are existing laws in the Indian Penal Code that address all of these issues. Why does a separate law need to be brought in?
Good evening, Padmaja. The reason why a separate enactment was necessitated was because the IPC and the provisions therein do not cover in detail the kind of provisions that kind of... Padmaja, I can hear myself. There is too much of an echo.
Okay, we'll just have that fixed in 10 seconds. Please go on. We'll have it fixed as you go.
So the reason that this new enactment was necessary was because the provisions in the IPC does not comprehensively deal with this subject. This is a very serious matter that needs a standalone legislation to deal with this very important issue comprehensively. This legislation mandates specific requirements like there must be a notice before conversion. It also deals with conversions made on the promise of marriage, which is not covered by the IPC provisions. It also deals with punishments which are more rigorous than what is contemplated in the IPC. So these are the specific administrative reasons why and legislative reasons as to why a special enactment was needed and the existing IPC provisions was not sufficient.
All right, Rizwan Arshad, there are cases where the IPC doesn't cover the issue, hence this law. Then why the opposition?
Padmaja, I think Mr. Surya is also an advocate, I believe, but I don't know why he goes on to suggest that there is no enough safeguards in the Constitution, where the IPC is very clear. There are various sections, 120B, 153A, 295A, 298, 493, 496, there are n number of sections, up to 508 and 9 and all that. And there are enough safeguards if anyone tries to convert by force, by coercion, in any manner, which is not normal, which is not acceptable. There are enough provisions. But I tell you why this bill is brought, in spite of you have all those sections in the IPC. This bill is a political bill brought in to appease their political masters, to hide their government's failures in Karnataka. And it is a draconian bill. It is not a bill to help the society. It's a bill to put the society into trouble. That is where our objection is. And with this bill, there is going to be enough ammunition to all the Sangha Parivar workers who take the law into their hands, who barge into the churches, who hit people and create a ruckus. All these bills are going to strengthen their hands, and they and the police together are going to target the minorities for the political benefit of the BJP. That is where we oppose and we stand against this bill.
Tejasvi Surya, you are going to, or rather this law is going to be weaponized by the fringe groups in order to crack down on inter-religious relationships of any kind. We've, as it is in certain belts in Bengaluru, seen cases where there have been targeted of minorities or where churches have been targeted, and this is basically going to rule out any couple ever trying to engage in an inter-religious marriage or relationship.
Padmaja, Mr. Rizwan has not specifically answered to the points that I made earlier. Even assuming that there are some provisions identical to this, say in the IPC and other statutes, what prevents the state from bringing a statute to further the objective of the state, which is to keep a social demography safe? And assuming that same provisions are already existing in some statutes, what problem can somebody have if there is going to be another statute? So this is not commonsensical. Now let me address the political points that
before you go on to the political point, let us be very specific. You said whether there are existing provisions. Let's talk the law. Since you're talking about two people who are using legalese, you have 120B for conspiracy. You have 402 for fraud. So somebody promises marriage and then has you converted, you can go to police for them and accuse them of fraud. That's point number one. Point number two, the reason why this is problematic is that this law and its provision almost make it impossible for you to marry somebody from another state. I'll give you an example how. It says you have to give 2 months notice in advance for the conversion to DM. Now the person who's carrying out the conversion has to give 1 month's notice. DM will then conduct an inquiry through the police. If you don't inform the authorities, you will be sent to jail for 6 months or even 3 years. It also says that people who get converted have to inform the DM within 30 days of conversion and then appear before the... It's almost like you have committed a crime. Why? Why are you making it so difficult?
Conversion by choice is still permissible. However, what this bill tries to do is to ensure that women men are not coercively, fraudulently converted on the premise or a promise of a marriage. This needed a separate enactment. Padmaja conversion, religious conversion, is an attack on the indigenous traditions of this country, indigenous religions of this country. To quote Swami Vivekananda, every man out of the Hindu pale is not only a Hindu less, but an enemy more. So the Chief Minister of the state has very rightly said that conversion is invasion of this country in a different manner. Therefore, it is a constitutional duty of every government, because the constitution recognized that India is Bharat, and the moment we say that India is Bharat, we recognize the fact that this is a civilization which has existed for millennia, and undoubtedly the nature of the civilization is inherently and explicitly Hindu. Therefore, it is the duty of the state governments and the union government to protect this demographic integrity of this nation as a Hindu nation.
Basically, if I was to simplify what you're saying, you're basically saying we need to protect the Hindu girls and not have them converted.
No, let me tell you.
Protection of sorts.
Not girls. This is not about boys or girls. This is not about boys or girls, Padmaja. I don't know why you're putting words in my mouth. This is very simple. This bill is aimed at preventing fraudulent, coercive religious conversion. And conversion across the country historically has happened either through fear of the sword or through the allurement of money and such other services by certain missionaries. And like I said, I will repeat, conversion leads to change in nationality, changes in loyalty to the territory of this country.
Okay, let Rizwan Arshad respond to that.
This is a very serious matter, and it is something that affects the demography of this nation.
Okay, it affects the demography of the nation, Rizwan Arshad, which is why strict measures need to be brought in. Rizwan Arshad.
Can I respond him into two parts? One, he said about conversion for the sake of marriage and all that. All these provisions have been struck down by the Gujarat High Court recently, saying that this law is against the Constitution. All these provisions are against the spirit of the Constitution, and the Gujarat High Court has struck down the law brought in by the Gujarat government. One. Two, when he has quoted Mr. Vivekananda, I would like to quote Dr. Ambedkar, who is the architect of the Constitution. He says, Dr. Ambedkar says, your religion should not be by your birth.
Who is this Mr. Vivekananda that you are speaking about, Rizwan Arshad?
Says. So this is what
Rizwanji, I want to know who is this Mr. Vivekananda that you are quoting?
I am talking about Dr. Ambedkar.
We know Swami Vivekananda.
I have not interrupted. I have not interrupted when you spoke.
You said Mr. Vivekananda. There is a certain honorific that the Hindus of this country use to Swami Vivekananda. So kindly use that with that respect. I will listen to you.
You quoted Swami Vivekananda. I am quoting Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
Yes,
can you please listen to me, Surya? Don't try to divert your
That's the way.
argument.
Swami Vivekananda.
So,
go ahead.
If the first recorded conversion in the history of the first recorded conversion in the history of India is when in 1956 Dr. Baba Saheb converted to Buddhism along like nearly 4 lakh people. Did he put any arzi to the government? Did he take permission from the government? He was the architect of the Constitution. He knew the Constitution very well. It was his right to convert to Buddhism. So, are you against Dr. Ambedkar and his spirit of the Constitution? Third point which Mr. Surya says, I have objection on that point. He says if someone converts, he can change his nationality. If someone converts, his loyalty can be questioned. What do you mean by this? What are you trying to say that nearly 15% of the minorities or the other people who converted, including Dr. Ambedkar, do you suspect their loyalties to this country? Do you suspect their services to the country? What are you going to say? This is what your political game is. You are trying to, sow the seeds of poison through this kind of words, Mr. Surya. Don't try to divert this. You're against the constitution. I just want to ask him,
I will respond to all your 3 points.
In Karnataka
I will
in
respond to all your 3
census.
points, Rizwanji.
Padmaja, it was 1.9%. It was 1.9%. What is the Christian population in 2011 census? It is 1.87%. What are you talking about? A minority threatening a majority and converting them by force?
Conversion does not put your nationalism or your nationality in question, Tejasvi Surya. And to suggest that is divisive. And so that the allegation is your purpose of your bill.
This is what Surya said.
Let me answer all of these. Let me answer all of these. Let me answer this very clearly. Let me answer all of this very clearly. If the Gujarat High Court has struck down a particular legislation, that does not mean the Karnataka legislature has no power to legislate on a particular issue. If there is any constitutional issues with this bill, the High Court subsequently will look into it. 1. It does not prevent the state, the legislature from or the state from enacting a law. 1. 2. As far as Rizwan Arshad's statement that it was Ambedkar who first converted in 1956, so whenever he said goes, it fails, it is absolutely commonsensical that it was not the case. The first conversion in India, perhaps Rizwan Arshad will know that maybe his forefathers, his khandan mein jo bhi convert hue the, whenever the sword of Islam came into India, perhaps you should find out when that happened, because Rizwan Arshad's forefathers, before they converted into Islam, were also Hindus. So even before Dr. Ambedkar, even before Ambedkar, hang on, listen to me. I am just telling you that you are factually incorrect when you said that the first conversion was Dr. Ambedkar. There was the conversion. Hang on, Rizwanji. Sir, mass conversion in this country has happened when Islam and Islamic barbarians came in this country and converted hapless Hindus by the power of the sword. Okay, so this was not when mass conversions happened. When your Tipu Sultan went and did sunnat to thousands of people, converted and butchered them, killed people, that's when mass conversions happened.
I can also say that Aryans came from somewhere.
Historians have proved that that is false. So anyway, now coming to the last point of you asking if we are against Ambedkar.
If you are civilized, I can also be civilized.
Okay, one by one, please, gentlemen. We have plenty of time. Let's try and make sense of this.
Nonsense.
Rizwan Arshad, I'm coming right back to you. But answer the part, there's a very specific question asked of you, Tejasvi Surya, to suggest that nationalism is suspect because of religion.
I am not done, Padmaja.
Yes,
please.
Go on, finish your point.
Yes, I am coming there. I am coming there. Before that, I want to factually correct him that mass conversions, forced conversions I will come. Rizwan bhai, please wait. Please wait. I just want to reiterate that the first mass conversion was not when he said that was undertaken by Ambedkar ji. It was it was forced hundreds of years ago when Islam came into this country, when Christianity came into this country, religions which primarily believe that there exists no other gods, that all other religions are false, therefore they must convert other people. Since the day these foreign faiths entered India, since then conversion is happening in this country. On the native population is subject to conversion. Now on the last aspect that you raised, there is no better advocate on the idea that change of religion equals change of nationality than Dr. Ambedkar himself. Do you know, Rizwan, why Dr. Ambedkar did not convert to Islam, your religion? Please go and read Dr. Ambedkar's thoughts on Pakistan, where Dr. Ambedkar very specifically writes that Islam is a brotherhood of only the Muslims. And why? You asked me a question, I am responding. Religions which do not have its origin in India.
That why he didn't convert to A religion or B religion?
Religions which do not have its spiritual. I will tell you how it matters.
Clear, Mr. Surya.
It matters.
It
matters. Hang on. You posed
very pertinent. Very.
Okay, one by one, please. I'm requesting. I will come right back to you. Let him finish this point. I'll come back to you, Rizwan Arshad. Yes.
I need time to respond.
Yes, you will get time. You will get time.
Yeah.
Yes, go on.
Yes, you will have all the time. You will have all the time. Dr. Ambedkar and Swami Vivekananda and all those people who have understood the nature of these religions which are born outside of this country have very categorically said that if a Hindu converts, his allegiance to his faith, his holy places changed. His allegiance to the place from where he gets his orders changed. His allegiance changes to territories which are outside of this country. The language, the allegiance to the holy books change because they are not of Indian origin. This Dr. Ambedkar, when please go and read Rizwan, Ambedkar has given reasoned arguments as to why he chose Buddhism, which is a religion that was born in India and not a religion like Christianity or Islam. And he has given reasoned arguments.
But
please go and read them.
No, so I want to stop you. I want to stop you there and ask two counter questions. I want to stop you there and ask two counter questions.
One, outside of this country is his holy places.
Okay.
Therefore,
the merits of one religion or the other is not the point of the debate here. The point of the debate is, what is the need for this law? And the second point is that if indeed, let me just finish my question, if indeed the Hindu civilization was under attack for so long from so many other faiths who were trying to convert us, in the absence of this law or any anti-conversion law, how did we manage to survive and still remain a majority? We did not have an anti-conversion law all of these centuries, but we still survived and we're still a majority. So why do we need it now?
Oh, yes, Padmaja, because we did not have an anti-conversion law all these years, because we were not vigilant enough against conversion, is why we have lost our territory to Pakistan. The Hindus in Pakistan, the Hindu population, which was earlier in that part of the country, has now become Muslim, and we have lost a part of the country to a nation that is a rogue nation called Pakistan, because we were not vigilant. Because we were not vigilant, we have lost a part of our territory to Bangladesh, and that population has become Muslim, which was earlier Hindu. And this is the price we have paid because we have not been vigilant enough.
Okay, so demographic changes led to the change, the territorial changes.
Demography does not change, and Bharat will remain as Bharat.
Okay, Rizwan Arshad, now it's your time to respond at length. Yes.
Padmaja, I can't just respond to whatever he says because he has been very manipulative in his argument. But this is very clear. Today I want to say, if Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar was alive, they would have made him an accused and put him behind bars. You know, this is very clear. He converted, no matter to which religion. He might not have found my religion attractive or anybody else's religion. The fact that he converted himself and lakhs of his followers because they did not get dignity in Mr. Surya and his hierarchy, what he's talking about. They were not allowed into the temples. They were not treated as human beings. They were not allowed. When he's talking about religious books and religious places, he should also know that they were prevented from reading their religious scriptures, what he's talking about. And that is the reason he converted. Please don't talk and blame other religions, A religion,
No, but
B
answer
religion,
this, Rizwan Arshad. The point that has been raised is there were demographic changes in parts of our country, and those demographic changes have led to change in territory.
Debate about Dr. Ambedkar's conversion? Let us have a detailed debate about that.
Yes, we'll just move back into the present from history, and let's address the issue of now what is being referred to as, well, we lost out West Pakistan, then we lost out East Pakistan, and all of this happened because lack of vigilance to demographic changes. Answer that, Rizwan Arshad.
See, it was very clear that those times the caste hierarchy was so strong that these people were not treated as equal citizens, equal Hindu brethren. They were not allowed into temples. They were not allowed to read scriptures. They were not allowed into the villages. Their settlements were very different. They were not having interfaith marriages, intercaste marriages. What was the condition then? Does Mr. Surya
but sir, I mean, with respect, are you going to completely ignore the conversions that have been carried out through coercion and allurement, and to just bring it down to, oh, you face caste discrimination, so you converted?
No. No. I just want, when he is talking about the history, I am also talking about the history.
So what
he
he
should
is
know
saying
and
is there
very
was
well
no
understand
Tipu
what he is
Sultan,
talking
there was
about.
no
He is now trying to put
Alauddin Khilji,
blame on
there was
other
no
religions
Aurangzeb,
when you
there
have
was
not
no
given that
conversion by the
dignity to
sword.
your own co-religionists, when you have not treated them as human beings, when you have not treated them as your brethren, when you have not allowed them to come into your temples. Even today you don't allow. See, don't talk on that, Mr. Surya. I just want you to understand what is the spirit of the Constitution, whether this bill will hold true to that spirit of this Constitution.
Okay.
Whether or not Gujarat High Court has struck down so many provisions of the same bill in Gujarat. What is the burden of proof, Padmaja? They say the burden of proof is on the man who is accused. And how do you do that? This is clear targeting. This is clear. And even after, in spite of so many years and centuries of talk Mr. Surya gave, even today the minorities are 15%. The majority is 85%. Even today, the Christian population.
You know, I'm going to. So on the issue of the Gujarat High Court, Tejasvi Surya, you are saying that it doesn't stop the legislative assembly from anyway bringing another law, even though the same clauses, by the way, that of burden of proof being on the person who's converting, is the exact clause in your law, which was pretty much declared malified by the Gujarat High Court. Let me ask you the final question. In the case of Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh alone, there have been multiple cases, and I can list them for you. In Uttar Pradesh, in Bareilly, 3 Muslim men were framed in false love jihad case. In Bijnor, Muslim youth was walking home with a friend. He was arrested for love jihad. Then in Madhya Pradesh, there were actually cases where it was found that people who were arrested on the anti-conversion law were actually couples who were known to each other. So in the last 1.5 years, where multiple states have legislated this law, its misuse has been proven to be rampant. How is this law then advisable? Court and misuse both shown with examples.
One, I will reiterate that nothing prevents the sovereignty of the state legislature, the constitutional right of the state legislature to enact a law that it wants, and it is for the courts to subsequently decide its virus later. The way you have very conveniently and selectively picked up these instances of what you call abuse, I can also tell you that because of the fear of this law, there are hundreds of cases of people who have been discouraged to venture into activities which would otherwise they would have carried with brazenness.
Rubbish.
I wish, Padmaja, you create a dossier of the kind of harassment that so many people have went through in the name of love jihad. Now coming on to the point that I had made earlier, because Rizwan was so continuously harping on Dr. Ambedkar, I want to read 2 lines from Dr. Ambedkar's book itself as to why he chose Buddhism and not Rizwan's religion, Islam. Conversion to, I quote him, conversion to Islam or Christianity will denationalize the depressed classes.
I am not here to
if
debate
they go to
Islam and Hinduism,
the number of Muslims will be doubled and the danger of Muslim domination also becomes real. The moment this becomes inconvenient for you, you do not want to debate this. The moment you want to, the moment it gets inconvenient, when facts stare you at the face, you want to run away and change the goalpost.
You are against the religion of Islam and Christianity and other religions, including Buddhism. I am here to debate on you the constitutional validity of this bill.
Rizwan,
Tejasvi Surya, you are the master in diversion.
Let me tell you.
I know you from your childhood. Don't do all this with me. You can do this with other people who don't know you. Okay, don't try to divert the issue. You just tell very clearly
Rizwan,
this bill
don't get personal. Don't get personal. Don't get personal. Let me tell you very. Let me tell you very clearly.
You have to listen. I am not here to listen to your nonsense alone.
Okay. One at a time. One at a time, and no personal comments from either side, please. Yes, please finish. Concluding remark.
You have. I just want to ask Padmaja very clearly.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make the last remarks, Padmaja. I just let. There is a strong government at the center, headed by Mr. Modi, 300 plus MPs, 56 in chest. There is a government in Karnataka which is headed by their own party. From last 7 years, they have full grip on the country, and in spite of having so much of dominance in this today's political scene, they feel that even today a minority community like Christian small minority community will go and convert people by force. Is Mr. Modi and the BJP so weak? What is he going to suggest?
Okay.
There are thousands and thousands in this bill. Institutions run by the Christians will also be covered, Padmaja. The institutions, when they are involved in this bill, I just want to ask...
But Rizwan Arshad, let me also remind you that in Kerala, it is not the BJP, it is not the VHP, it is not the Bajrang Dal. It is in fact the Church of Kerala, which was the first one to flag off the issue of forcible / coercive / conversion on the promise of marriage. It was actually the church. The same community, the same religion who you are calling persecuted in Karnataka, in Kerala is accusing Muslims of quote-unquote love jihad. The church has said it.
Yes, so there are the IPC sections. If anybody...
And they have asked for a love jihad law. If I was to quote the church in Kerala, they have said, we want a law along the lines of what is there in Uttar Pradesh and Kerala.
When there is a court-monitored probe on the love jihad, what comes out? How many cases of love jihad has been reported? And they have been investigated. What has come out? That it is a political bogey. All those
I am just saying that you said the Christian community is persecuted by the BJP in Karnataka, but it's the Christian, so either you can take the word of the Christian community or you can ignore it. If in Karnataka they are being persecuted, then in Kerala they say we are being persecuted by those who are converting us. So who do you believe?
Maybe yes, but so no, it is the case by case. You need to see it, but the Constitution covers everything. This bill is a political bill. This bill is a draconian bill. This bill is there to give tool to their Sangh Parivar workers in alignment with the administration to harass the minorities. When they have included Christian institutions, I want to ask them, there are thousands and thousands of students who went through a convent, who went through Christian hospitals. Has there a single case in this country where they have been accused of forcibly converting their students?
Okay, so if you are a muscular government and a muscular party, why are you scared of minorities and have to bring in a separate law to control them? Okay, wait, let's do it one by one.
A majority party, it's a majority...
community. Okay, majority party, majority community, muscular government, why are you scared of a minority? Tejasvi Surya.
56-inch Prime Minister.
This is not about being scared of anybody. This is about which is why we are rebuilding the Ram Mandir, which is why we are rebuilding Kashi Vishwanath, Kashi Mathura ho chuka hai Rizwan bhai, because we have a 56-inch chest wale strong Prime Minister. It may burn you, but this is the reality. Anyway,
you talk
the
about
funny
this,
part, Padmaja, is that the same
Christian community.
In Kerala they asked for a
Christian community.
Okay.
You worried about the 3%.
Okay, Rizwan Arshad, please. You had untrammeled time. Now let him respond. Yes, go on.
You asked about 3%. I am giving an answer. You had. Padmaja, the nature of these Abrahamic religions at their very fundamental value systems is to convert people who do not belong to their own faiths. We must recognize this, which is why they convert people who belong to another religion. And conversion is aggression on the other religion. This must be established and understood. And when it comes to Kerala, the Christians who say that it is necessary to bring in a UP-like law to protect the Christian population in Kerala, come to Kerala and oppose similar law because they do not want the Hindu population to be protected in Karnataka. This is very, you cannot, you should have a consistent logic. This is just convenience. The second thing is, let me tell you the political reason why Rizwan and his party went to the extent of tearing apart this anti-conversion bill in the House today. the Congress party of today is the modern day avatar of Muhammad Ali Jinnah's Indian Muslim Congress. They know that the only vote bank on which they can depend is the Muslim vote bank and the minority vote bank. Nothing demonstrates this better than Rahul Gandhi running away from a Hindu majority Amethi to a Muslim majority Wayanad to win a parliamentary
I will not allow you to talk.
Therefore, they
right.
want to ensure
you have
that
not spoken on merit of the case.
I did not come in between. I did not come in between.
Okay, sir, I'm requesting you. I am requesting you. We have not had crosstalk so far. Everyone's got their time. I am going to request you to please maintain silence for the next minute while he finishes his point, and then I will come to you.
Just talk nonsense. And,
let Mr. Surya finish, then I will come. Sir, whatever you have to say, you can say in your response. I will have to ask for silence, please. 30 seconds silence, finish your point. Yes.
The Congress party, let me reiterate this point, even though this irritates Rizwan. The fact that Rahul Gandhi could not manage to win from a Hindu majority Amethi and had to run away to a Muslim majority Wayanad to win his parliamentary seat very clearly proves that the Congress party today is a party which is like Jinnah's Indian Muslim Congress.
But what does this have to do with the bill? But I mean, I'm sorry, what does this have to do with the bill?
In
if you talk nonsense,
let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what it does. Let me tell you what. Give me 30 seconds, Rizwan, and then take 1 minute to respond. Take 1 minute to respond.
Nonsense.
Then the Congress party knows.
We gave you enough time when you're talking nonsense. You're not coming on the point.
Give 30 seconds. Take 1 minute.
Okay. Yes.
Give me 30 seconds. Take 1 minute to respond thereafter. The Congress party is opposed to this bill because the Congress party wants to develop a minority vote bank because it realizes the only way they can come back to political power in India is on the strength of its minority vote bank. Which is why they are opposed to this. Though they know that conversion to a different religions, especially to religions born outside of this country, is disastrous to Bharat in the long term. But when has long-term interests of this country ever mattered to the Congress party over its petty short-term interests?
Okay, so you are reaching out to a vote bank.
There is nothing in this bill that is unconstitutional.
That is the ultimate allegation. More than personal rights or freedoms, it's about a vote bank.
Can I respond?
Yes, now all your time, yes.
Can I respond if Mr. Surya has finished? Yeah. The Congress party stands up,
please go ahead,
in favor of any community which is being persecuted. Today, if the Christians are being targeted by the Sangh Parivar, we stand up with the Christians. Yesterday, when they were targeted, Sangh Parivar and the BJP targeted the farmers of this country, Congress party stood by the farmers. When Mr. Bhagwat gave a statement that reservations should be abolished for the SC community, we stood up by the SC community. Congress party will stand up against any injustice, whether it's Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, any community, even if it is the most minute community called Parsi community, we will stand up because we don't see numbers in terms of electoral politics. We stand up for the principles. Here, you are here to
so you are not opposing to reach out to a vote bank which will feel targeted. You are doing it because you value personal freedoms and liberties.
And create a vote bank of the majority community. Inside Padmaja, in fact, the case is very different. They want to create a majority community vote bank by creating a demon amongst the minorities and telling the majority community there is a imaginary demon. It will come and eat out. You are trying to create a vote bank for majority, but I will tell you, the majority community is very sensible. They will see through your design. They will see through that this is not what India wants. India wants progress. We want job. We want economic progress.
Okay, sir, if I may just stop you for a second, since you say that you are for the rights and the freedoms of all people irrespective of their gender, community, religion, may I just remind you that your government actually nullified the Shah Bano judgment. What happened to the freedoms of Muslim women? What happened to the human rights at that time?
No, definitely.
And they oppose triple talaq.
I mean,
they oppose
whatever,
triple talaq
that time
too.
I might have been very young. I don't, but no, listen to me. So if you...
What about triple talaq? I'm sure you have been, you are not young anymore. What about triple talaq?
We'll have a show. We'll have a... we have...
Rizwan, what about triple talaq?
We'll have a debate especially on that, Padmaja. I will come very openly on that. But, but if you say that you have empowered Muslim women by that, now you are trying to persecute the Christian minority. How does that logic come into it? We have stood time and again. I am telling you very clearly, Surya, we will not allow your ideology, which is fascist, which is persecuting the minorities, the women you're talking about, and all those sections of the society. What did you
since this is a political statement, I'll give you last 30 seconds, Tejasvi Surya. This is for your majority vote bank.
Your bill.
Majority vote bank, you are carving out, appeasing your majority vote bank. 30 seconds on the dot, please.
This is for your majority vote bank.
When the communist or the Islamist cannot win a debate, all he will say is he'll accuse you that you are a fascist. This is the classic last attempt, last run the Islamist or the communist does in a debate that he cannot win with logic and facts. Rizwan, you have proved that again. Yes, we want to protect the majority of this country because unlike
you have proved that you are a fascist.
This is not an imaginary or a fictional demon.
And by your own policies.
Let me reiterate, we have lost Afghanistan, we have lost Pakistan, we have lost Bangladesh. We will not allow this to happen.
All right, so political ideologies, irrespective of who we think is appeasing which vote bank, the fact still remains that the quality and whether it is legal or not, that will eventually anyway be tested in courts. We've seen that happen again and again. However, tomorrow is going to be a big day in the Karnataka Assembly. Thank you very much, both gentlemen, Tejasvi Surya, Rizwan Arshad, for having joined us on this debate. Hopefully, all of us take away some more information and less rhetoric from this discussion. Thanks for watching.